In Q1 2026, Taiwan's economy grew 13.69%. That is the fastest quarterly growth in 39 years in an economy with a GDP above $977 billion. For context, the United States, the largest economy on earth, grew 2.4% in the same period. China grew 5.4%. And here is the thing that makes that number truly extraordinary. Taiwan has a shrinking population, a fertility rate of 0.72, the same as South Korea, the lowest on earth, and almost no natural resources. So what is driving growth at a rate that should be structurally impossible for a mature, wealthy economy? One company, one technology, and one geopolitical reality that is quietly reshaping the entire world order. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, controls 53% of the global foundry market and produces over 90% of the world's most advanced chips. Every iPhone ever made was manufactured by TSMC. Every Nvidia GPU powering AI systems worldwide was made by TSMC. Every chip inside the computers running financial markets, military systems, autonomous vehicles, and data centers, the vast majority of them were made on this one island. And in Q1 2026, TSMC reported revenue of $38.5 billion, up 35% year on year. How did a small island with no natural resources become the single most critical node in the global technology supply chain? And what happens to the world if that node goes offline? To understand Taiwan's technological dominance, you have to start in 1949, when Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist government lost the Chinese Civil War to Mao's communists. 2 million soldiers, officials, and civilians fled to the island of Taiwan. They arrived in a territory of 6 million people and immediately faced an existential question: how do you build a functioning state from scratch on an island under constant military threat from the mainland? What happened next is one of the most underrated economic transformations in history. The KMT government, having learned from its failures on the mainland, implemented a comprehensive land reform that redistributed land from landlords to farmers, something it had been too politically weak to do in China. This broke the rural poverty cycle and created a generation of small landowners who became the foundation of Taiwan's middle class and its early industrial workforce. Through the 1960s and 1970s, Taiwan followed a version of the Korean model: export-led industrialization, state-directed investment, and heavy emphasis on education. American aid, which totaled approximately $1.5 billion between 1951 and 1965, provided critical early support. Taiwan pivoted from agricultural exports to textiles, then to plastics and petrochemicals, then to electronics assembly. By the 1980s, the island was producing consumer electronics for American and Japanese brands. But unlike Korea, which concentrated power in a few large chaebols, Taiwan built a dense ecosystem of small and medium-sized enterprises that specialized in specific components. This flexibility would later become the foundation of the world's most sophisticated semiconductor supply chain. In 1987, a 56-year-old engineer named Morris Cheng founded a company that would rewrite the rules of the entire technology industry. Cheng had spent his career at Texas Instruments in the United States. He understood semiconductors better than almost anyone on earth, and he saw something that nobody else saw. The chip industry was about to split into two fundamentally different businesses: designing chips and manufacturing them, and nobody was building the infrastructure to serve companies that only wanted to design. So he founded TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, as the world's first pure-play foundry, a company that manufactures chips designed by others. It sounds simple. It was revolutionary. Intel turned him down before he founded it. Texas Instruments turned him down. In hindsight, those were the most expensive decisions in the history of American technology. What Cheng's foundry model did was enable a new category of company that had never existed before: the fabless semiconductor designer, companies that design chips without owning any manufacturing equipment. Today, that list includes Nvidia, Apple, AMD, Qualcomm and Broadcom, the most valuable chip companies on Earth. None of them own a single fab. All of them depend on TSMC. The entire AI boom of 2024, 2025, and 2026, every data center, every AI model, every autonomous system runs on chips that were physically manufactured on one island by one company. American manufacturing share of global semiconductors fell from 40% in 1990 to around 12% by 2020. TSMC filled that gap. There is a theory in geopolitics called the Silicon Shield. The idea is simple. Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing is so essential to the global economy that China cannot invade Taiwan without causing a catastrophic collapse of the world's technology supply chain, including China's own. China's entire tech sector depends on Taiwanese chips. Huawei, despite years of US sanctions, still relies on TSMC manufactured components in various supply chain configurations. Chinese AI development depends on chips fabbed in Taiwan. An invasion that destroys or shuts down TSMC would be an act of economic self-destruction. This is not an accident, it was by design. TSMC was partly conceived as a strategic deterrent, giving the world a reason to care about Taiwan's survival. The United States understood the fragility of this dependency before most. The CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 committed $65 billion to rebuild American semiconductor manufacturing. TSMC itself is building fabs in Arizona, a project worth $65 billion in Japan and in Germany. Intel is attempting its own foundry revival with tens of billions in government support. South Korea's Samsung is building fabs in Texas. But here is the reality. The most advanced chips, 2 nanometer and below, will remain exclusively in Taiwan for the foreseeable future. Building the knowledge, the talent pipeline, and the process expertise that TSMC has accumulated over 35 years cannot be replicated by writing a check. The Arizona fab, despite billions in investment, faced significant delays in 2023 and 2024 due to a shortage of trained technicians. You can buy the equipment, you cannot buy the 35 years of institutional knowledge. Taiwan's GDP per capita in 2026 is above $42,000, higher than South Korea for the first time in over 20 years, higher than Japan, higher than most of Europe. An island of 23 million people with no oil, no iron ore, and no strategic depth has become one of the wealthiest societies on Earth by controlling the one resource that everyone on the planet needs and nobody else can make at scale. But the honest picture of Taiwan in 2026 is more complex. First, concentration risk. When 78.5% of your exports are one product from one industry, you are not a diversified economy. You are a highly specialized one. Any shock to semiconductor demand, any major technological disruption like quantum computing becoming viable, or any successful effort by China, the US, or Korea to replicate TSMC's capabilities would hit Taiwan asymmetrically hard. Second, demographics. The population of 23 million is already aging. The engineers who built TSMC's knowledge base are retiring. Attracting and training the next generation at the pace the industry demands is a genuine structural challenge. Third, the geopolitical exposure. The Silicon Shield protects Taiwan as long as it is the only source of advanced chips. The moment that changes, through successful replication elsewhere, through a technological paradigm shift, or through a Chinese military action that the world decides to tolerate, the entire strategic calculus reverses. The question that keeps military strategists and corporate supply chain managers awake at night is simple. What happens if Taiwan is invaded, blockaded, or destabilized? The answer, according to most economists, is a global recession that would make 2008 look manageable. The chip shortage of 2020 and 2021, which was caused by a temporary demand surge during COVID, cost the global automotive industry $210 billion in lost revenue and delayed car production by millions of units. That shortage was caused by a 6 to 12-month lag in chip orders. A complete shutdown of Taiwanese manufacturing would be categorically different in scale and duration. Every sector that depends on advanced electronics, which is every sector, would face years of supply disruption. There is no backup, there is no alternative at scale. This is not a supply chain vulnerability, it is a civilizational one. Taiwan teaches 3 things that no business school curriculum fully captures. First, specialization compounds. Taiwan did not try to be good at everything. It picked one industry, went deeper than anyone thought possible, and created advantages that now take decades and hundreds of billions of dollars for any competitor to even attempt to match. Second, technology is geopolitics. Morris Chang did not just found a semiconductor company, he created Taiwan's most powerful foreign policy tool. The Silicon Shield is not metaphor, it is a deterrent as real as a military alliance. Third, the most valuable resources in the 21st century are not found underground. They are built over decades through engineering excellence, institutional knowledge, and a willingness to go further than anyone else in the world thinks is necessary. Taiwan went from a refugee island in 1949 to the most strategically important economy on Earth in 2026, not through resources, not through geography, through one bet on one technology executed over 75 years with a level of consistency and depth that the rest of the world has not yet figured out how to replicate. The question is not whether Taiwan's dominance will eventually be challenged. It will be. The question is whether the challenge will come from a competitor who builds something better or from a military action that tries to simply take it. The answer to that question will define the shape of the 21st century economy more than any other single variable. If you want to understand the forces reshaping global power and money, subscribe to Mainnet Codex. See you in the next one.